Are you ready to break out of an impoverished mindset and into abundance? I know what it's like. I've suffered through this for years until I finally found a way to break through this limitation. So if you want to know what it takes and how to finally destroy this block, keep watching. Hey, this is Damon from Life Mastery Gym, empowering people all over the world to learn, to grow, and to finally take charge of your destiny. So if that sounds good, please click subscribe to this YouTube channel so you can get these videos on a regular basis, and make sure you hit the bell as well so that you're notified when I put new videos out. If you really want to break out of scarcity and into abundance, then really take the time to learn what it is that I'm teaching here and make a promise, not to me, but to yourself. Make a promise to yourself that you're at least going to give this a try, and I'm going to give you a challenge at the end that's really going to make this work for you. If you follow Tony Robbins, you've probably heard him tell this story many times, and if you don't follow Tony Robbins and you're not a big fan of Tony Robbins, I understand. He's not really my speed, but he has a lot of wisdom to share. And this story that I'm going to tell is a great story. He tells it many times, and it was quite a defining moment in his life. He had been successful already, but he had lost it all. He had either fired all of his employees or they had quit on him. There were people who owed him money, but he also owed money, and he was down to his last few dollars. I think he said he had like $100 in the bank, and rent was due, and he was just really at his lowest. And he went to a diner that let you have a free dinner on your birthday, and I think it was his birthday, so he went and he got a free dinner. And if I'm messing up some of these details and you're an avid Tony Robbins fan, don't get caught up in the details. It's really the point of the story. So he has his meal, and then he sees this kid. I think it also happened to be Mother's Day, and he sees this kid come in. He's like 7 years old. He comes in with his mom, and he's taking his mom to dinner, but he doesn't have any money. So Tony Robbins reaches into his wallet. He's got like $15 left. And remember, this is like the early 80s. So he gives his last few dollars to this boy so that he can buy his mom dinner. It was a shift for him into an abundance mindset. And he goes back home, and then he starts getting phone calls of people who owe him money, and they start paying up. And now his fate changes, his destiny changes, everything shifts and everything changes. And he really focuses on gratitude in this story, that it was gratitude that helped him shift out of a scarcity state and into an abundant state, which is why he was able to then give this kid money. And then that seemed to have an overall effect on his life and change the situation. Now, I agree, gratitude is an amazing place to be. It's an amazing state to have. It is a state of abundance, and it is the one thing, or one state or quality that you can never have too much of. But there is more to this than just gratitude. There is more to this than just visualization and thinking in terms of abundance. And people say that, they're like, oh, I'll visualize what I want. I'll go into an abundant state. I will vibrate on an abundance frequency, whatever that means. I'm not sure what that means, but it takes more than that. You can't just sit there and put yourself in a state of whatever and think that that's going to suddenly make everything work for you. By now you might start to get where I'm going with this, and you might not be getting it consciously just yet. It might be more of a feeling, and that means you're probably getting it unconsciously. So if you're not quite getting it yet, I'll give you some examples. So I just left a 6-figure business. I had an insurance agency. I had it for over 10 years. My employees mostly ran it, and I rarely had to go to the office. And I just walked away from it. I walked away from it because the time that I did have to spend in it was time that well, first of all, didn't really enjoy. And it actually kind of dragged me down and wore me down. So even though it wasn't much, I decided that I was going to take that time and spend it on my business that I really enjoy, which is this one, and really focus my attention there. And I really truly believe that that will actually make more money than that insurance agency. Another example is the woman I'm dating. I saw her walking down the street last summer. I thought she was very beautiful. I almost didn't approach her. I said, okay, I got to do this despite my fears, despite my hesitation, and I went and I did it. And now we've been dating ever since. And I hate to think had I missed that opportunity. So what am I getting at here? What is this really about? What it's about is bold action. Bold action will shift you out of a scarcity state and into an abundance state. Bold action is an expression of abundance. Bold action is basically you deciding that even though what you're doing might have risk to it, it might be out of the ordinary for you, it might be unfamiliar to you, so you don't always know what the results are going to be. Bold action, though, is you basically saying to yourself and acting it out that you know that you are resourceful enough that even if things don't go exactly as expected, even if the worst possible situation happens, you know that you have it within you to turn the situation around. So when Tony Robbins gave that kid that money, I don't know what happened first. Did he feel it first and then act on it, or did he act on it and then feel it? But somehow he knew he could give that money away and he was going to be okay. He was resourceful enough to make things work for his life, that he could turn this around, that in the worst of worst situations, he was going to not only turn it around, not just get better, but he was going to make it a massive success. And so the case with me leaving my insurance agency, that I will take that time, that low energy time that I was investing in keeping that safety net there, I'm going to turn that time into something that I'm really driven and passionate about. And I know that that will result in more abundance. When I saw my girlfriend walking down the street, I hesitated and I got fearful, but I wanted to talk to her. By going and doing that, knowing that she could easily reject me, she could say, you know, hey, get lost, jerk. But she didn't. She was actually very receptive. I could have missed out on that. Even if it ends right now, the time that I've already spent with her was far worth the investment and the risk of being rejected. I mean, what could really have happened to me if she had rejected me? She just would have been like, okay, she's not interested. I'm moving on. A lot of things that we think are bold are actually not as risky as you think they are. Think about all the things that you could do right now to take bold action in your life. Bold action is really just stepping out of a pattern, a familiar pattern that you've just been used to. And obviously that familiar pattern is not serving you. So how are you going to break out of this? Especially if you're in a situation where you're in fear, you're in scarcity. Fear is a scarcity state. Perfectionism is a scarcity state. When you do not take action because you want it to be right, you want it to be perfect, that is a form of scarcity. And to move into an abundance, it takes bold action. And like I said, some of these things might seem bold to you, but on the surface, or if other people were looking at it, it wouldn't seem that bold. I'll give you some examples. Pay off your credit cards. Pay them off. You might be hesitating, you think, well, I don't have the money, but if you really had to, let's say you owe $2,000 in credit card debt and you're just paying the interest, or you're just paying a little bit monthly, which means you're having to pay interest. Say it's $2,000. What if somebody put a gun to your head and said, you have 24 hours to come up with $2,000? You would come up with $2,000. You'd find a way, and then you would pay off that credit card debt. So you have the resources within you. You're just stuck in a familiar pattern. It's a scarcity pattern, but it's familiar to you, and that's why you don't break out of it. But think about it, if it was life and death, and you had to do something, what bold action or actions would you take to get out of it? Now, it doesn't necessarily have to be credit card debt. It could be, what are you paying monthly that would be cheaper to pay off for the entire year? How quickly could you pay off your car? How quickly could you pay off your home? These are all ideas for you to think about, and they're not so crazy as you might think. So start thinking about these things. What would get you out of scarcity? What is the area of your life where you feel like you're dealing with the most scarcity, or that perfection is holding you back, or that your fear is holding you back? And what bold move could you take to get you out of that? Or just approaching a woman and talking to her, like that can be so hard for a guy to do. And so they stay in this state of fear. They stay in this state of scarcity. And look, here's the thing. What's the worst that can happen? So I'll tell you, even if you get rejected, just making such a bold move like that and breaking that pattern of scarcity and fear will put you in a state of abundance. Think about your big takeaway from this video, and I want you to write it down. And I want you to write down any smaller takeaways, like 2 to 3 smaller takeaways. And the reason I want you to do this is because this is what's really going to bring this home for you. And I want you to take this even further. Make it public. Comment in the comments below either a bold action you will take or a bold action you already have taken as a result of watching this video. And that puts it out in the public. So that, in a sense, is a little bit more bold than just writing it and keeping it to yourself. Now, if you're still struggling with this, if you're still thinking, I don't know if I can take a bold action, do this right now. Pull out a piece of paper. Think about an area of your life where you're in scarcity or fear, and write, take a bold action to do X. Take a bold action in this situation, whatever it is. Okay, and now you're looking at this and you're seeing take a bold action on this piece of paper, and maybe this is freaking you out a little bit. Okay, well, do this. Take your pen and cross out bold. Now what do you have? Take action. It doesn't have to be a bold action. You might need to take a smaller action first so that you feel safe or that you feel better about taking a bigger, bolder action. So start there. Don't underestimate the power of writing things down. Some people just say, oh, I'll just think about it. No, no, no. Write it down. It makes a difference to write things down. And like I said, better yet, write it in the comments right here below. A bold action you're going to take, or a bold action you already have taken as a result of watching this video, and how that has changed things for you. You will immediately go into a state of abundance when you do this. Now, I'm also not saying that you should take any huge risks that could harm you, that could physically harm you. Make sure you know what you're getting yourself into ahead of time. Bold doesn't mean stupid, okay? So don't take a stupid risk. Don't take a stupid action. Take a bold action that is going to benefit you somehow. Just like I said, paying off credit card debt, looking for a new job. Some people are so petrified of looking for a new job. They think that they have to stick with the job that they have, even though it's making them miserable. Go look for a new job. Get that resume going. Be bold and go for that job that you think you can't, it's out of reach for you. Go and do it. If you would like to go deeper with this, I have free training on my website. I have a 4-part video series on my website on lifemasterygym.com. And in addition to that, I have some other trainings you can get into. I have a membership program that you can get into, and I walk you through all the steps. It's the next best thing to doing coaching directly with me. And it also puts you in a supportive community and a supportive environment. Take full advantage of these free resources on my website. And once you get a sense of that, what these trainings are like and what they can do for you in your life, then when you're ready, you can take this even deeper by enrolling in one of my other trainings where you get more material and you get ongoing coaching and you get put into a community where you have a supportive environment of other students who are doing the same thing. Last but not least, if you like this video, please click like right down here. And of course, if you haven't already, subscribe and hit that bell so you'll be notified when I upload new videos. Take care.